and welcome to bexbugoutsurvivor. This is the second time I've taken my new modified pack out. It is, or was, the CS95 Bergen in DPM. It's had a lot of modifications. I've done the modifications myself. If you want to see how to do them, there's a playlist in the description box. I've got extra utilities, a basher pouch, side nets, a jack lid. I've also made a floating lid. On a previous video I did say I was going to take the infantry Bergen and convert it fit for camping, which meant making the ultimate sacrifice for a Bergen. I was going to take out its spine. So this is the back of the Bergen with the kidney pads. Now I've sewn on a couple of water bottles right onto the hip pad there. So first thing to do is get a brew on and then set up. But the back, not only of the 3 metal rods been taken out, but the ribs that go across, the rubber ribs or HDF foam, they've gone and they've been replaced with a cushioned back pad here on the strap that holds my sleep mat. So I may as well get my sleep mat working for me. So what is it like for comfort now I've taken the whole back system out? Now it is the most comfortable Bergen ever. It is really comfortable, provided you've only got elements of your kit that is fabric, such as a sleeping bag, a bivvy, a basher, spare clothing. So I haven't got any rods, poles, sharp objects, flue pipes for hot tents, nothing like that, just fabric. The fabric I've got in this one is for my hammock, and I've got 2 underquilts, a sleeping bag, everything you need, the bivvy and the basher, you name it. So the ability for it to be a Bergen for heavy load carriage is gone. So what am I going to do now for heavy load carriage? Well, one, I've got a spare Bergen, and that spare Bergen is in MTP. It's been modified by JJ's. It has a solid back system on. So I've got one as a bug out bag, and one that I promised in an earlier video that I had ideas to make this into a camping pack. So no longer a load carry, a heavy load carry anyway, but from now on this is more like a backpack, just an ordinary rucksack. It just happens to be 1000 Kudura. It just happens to be stitched bomb proof, just like the army give you on a Bergen. Yeah, I've made a lot of modifications. So however is this going to be a load carry ever again? Well, I've got an external frame. When it's in its hobby mode for camping, fishing, wild camping, you know, just as a hobby, it's like this, it's frameless. It takes a second just to put it on the frame, and I've already stitched on some webbing and runners so it fastens to the frame. On the frame already is a shelter kit. In here is more elements for your bushcraft and fieldcraft. So it is just ready to be converted instantly at a few seconds notice from a day pack, and then like that, it's on the frame, system's already connected to the frame and gone. Because I do know there's going to be a few people who will see this as sacrilege, but a Bergen is about 20-30 quid. You know, 30 quid you get a good one, 20 quid you'll get a grade 2. So it's not like I'm demolishing some, you know, expensive kit. Now obviously Bergen's going to be more expensive if you're in America. Here in the UK, 20 quid, 30 quid, what's that, about $50-60? It's not a lot compared to some other Bergens out there on the market that are in their hundreds. I think that limb is waiting to go. I can hear it creaking up there. It's only resting on a couple of little branches up there. I'm going to have to find somewhere else. So it's a ruck now. that contains everything I need. A basher in the basher pouch, which is my hammock tarp, and cookware in here, which is whatever cook system you want. Next door to it, all the food for the cook system you want, everything in one place. You'll notice there's no side rocket pockets on, but I do have the mesh that are sewn in, so I can put some lightweight gear into there. I'm just going to loosen off some of these straps here, because it does work a lot better now as a rucksack than it does a Bergen. Obviously, the minute I put it on an external frame, it's back to being a PLCE again, and I am gagging for a brew. I'm going to put that on now. At the same time the brew's on, I'm going to put up the system, and you can see that this Bergen holds all my camping equipment. For this one, it's all the hammock system, but it could be your tent, it could be your bivvy, it could be whatever you want. If you did have an external frame, it could be your bug out bag. So this is the first hybrid between camping, bug out, survival, bushcraft, fieldcraft. It is going to be a good all-rounder. So I've got some coffee in there, I hope. And a 58 and hexy here. So I'm going to get that on in a minute. Now I'm putting up my brew kit before the shelter, because it's going to take about the same amount of time to boil as it is to put up the shelter kit. There's the plastic beaker, and in here is my lighter and my 58 cup, and on the hip belt is the actual water itself. Water in the hip belt. Just want a quick cup of tea. Want to see if I can get away with just a half block. Can use a full block if I had food, perhaps. So I'm going to place the hexy over there, and I can light from underneath. It's a lot better way to do it. If it's particularly windy, light the card first. It's absolutely soaked in hexamine. And I don't think I bought the lid for it, but it's not the end of the world, so I'm just going to let that come to a boil there. Got some bubbles and steam there, and already the first part of the hammock system is up, minus the tarp. I pre-connect the actual underquilts to the hammock onto the beaner. I know a lot of people separate the hammock from their underquilt. I just don't see the logic of it. Both parts go together, so you may as well keep them together. It makes as much sense to me as separating your knife, fork and spoon. In the basher pouch of the Bergen is my DD tarp. Now I would actually like something a lot lighter, but this is my guest pack and quilts and hammock if a friend wants to come with me. Not that this pack is heavy in any kind of way. This connects directly to the daisy loops on the tree suspension rather than going round the tree. I don't know whether to put that up. It's a nice day. Okay, that's good timing. That's come to a boil. I've had to let it cool down a bit. What have I got in here? In here, I'm going to try out one of these apparently, which is it like a mocha or something? I don't know, but it's some kind of coffee, probably not sweetened, so I bought some sweetener with me. It might be sweetened, or it might be some kind of cappuccino. Very powdery. Let's see what it's like without any sweetener. Got bits in it already. Oh, that's nice. Does need a bit of sweetener though. But it's one of them chassis. It's one of them packets that have got a bit of coffee in and whitener, and by the look of it, a bit of chocolate as well. That's better. A cup like this feels well deserved, but it only took me a couple of seconds, well, a couple of minutes to get that whole system up. I know I haven't got the roof over it yet, and I don't know whether I'm going to, because we're just talking about the actual pack itself. But I'm happy with the way this has gone. I wish every camp would be as straightforward as this. Perhaps my next one with this exact setup might be as straightforward as this. Just a case of getting a brew on first, while that's boiling, put up the hammock, and then obviously I'll just, if it was a night like tonight, I wouldn't even bother with the tarp, so I can look out at the stars. Not that I would camp here, it's far too dangerous, as every tree is broken and falling. I think the ground has been built on an urban build many years ago, so the roots can only go down as far as the existing footings of whatever buildings were here. Right, back to the hammock, Batman. I might just put up the tarp for demonstration, just because it is part of the kit. Here's the tarp, here's all the pegs, and I should have just a couple of clips that I can clip straight onto the webbing daisy. That goes on the webbing daisy. So it only takes a minute or so to put a tarp up, because it's not gone around a tree. Instead, it's up here onto the daisy webbing. And I could actually move the hammock down a bit now. Certainly easier to pull down in a hurry. This is a modified underquilt. I've elasticated mine on the sides, and I've also got draft cushions in the end. So if we do come to the end here, there was a draft getting in down here, so I sewed in an insulated cushion like that, and this is sewn into the underquilt, and I just pop it in like that, and then the hammock rests on it, and as you can see, there is no air gaps anymore. But we are talking about the new Bergen. New because it is now converted both to a pack for camping and it can be put on an alloy frame in a few seconds, and I can detach and attach the side rocket pockets, which will contain some gear for survival. And obviously I don't need that survival kit on a camp, so the conversion is simple. Add in 2 rocket pockets full of survival preps, and with these modified webbings here, goes straight onto a frame, an external frame. Already mounted on the external frame is a sleep system. Speaking of which, in here we haven't finished, there's a sleeping bag in here as well, not just the hammock quilts, and I do say quilts in plural. There's one, there's the other. Cheers. So the ultimate sacrifice for that Bergen was taking its spine out. The ultimate benefit of doing so is a more comfortable pack, and a pack that is well over 1.5 kilos lighter, because I've removed the top lid as well. Here's the thing with the top lid, it was 600 grams, and what I was putting in it was a basher and a couple of pegs that also weighed 600 grams. And you don't need to be a super brain to work out that the pouch I'm putting the kit in is the same weight as the kit. I mean, if I owned a shop, you came into my shop, wanted 1 kilo of sugar, would you want me to give you a bag for it that also weighed 1 kilo? Of course you don't. You just get a little plastic carrier bag, take it home, and don't think anything of it, that the pack, the little bag with your sugar in, is plenty strong enough. So yeah, I took that 600 kilos off the lid, stripped out the frame, and it was just under 1.5k all in. My EXO frame is a lot lighter than 1.5 kilos, a lot lighter. I didn't like the fact that having such a solid, rigid back system to it was so uncomfortable. Hated every single second of carrying it. Compared to other Bergens you can buy online, like the Carrymore, and let's see what other one I've had my eye on. I've had my eye on Carrymore, Low Alpine. Now those are padded back frames and padded waist belts. What you get with the CS95 Bergen is just the ribs up against the frame, and that's all the comfort you're allowed to have. The kidney pads work really well to displace the weight, of course, if you're riding it on webbing. So I can use this with webbing, without webbing, on its own as it is, on its own with a foam pad for the back, on its own with the air pad on the back. And I really like that idea. I've been using it a lot, getting my 3/4 length pad that gets strapped to the back. When I put it on, I have an air cushion, an actual air cushion, and some people, when they saw that in the comments, said that's going to be sweaty. Well, obviously you've never tabbed with a Bergen then, because without it, it's sweaty, because there is no airflow, whether you have the traditional unmodified back system or my modified back system. And I've got my eye on other modified Bergens as well. There's one called the Beast, which is just an CS95 Bergen, and it has been pimped, and it is on an EXO frame, which looks like a Molly Recon 2 EXO frame. So it's lifted it off your backside and higher up your shoulders, which I think Bergens should be framed on an EXO frame. So the pimped Bergen from, I think it's JJ's, they're calling it the Beast, and yeah, it looks a beast. Got all the pockets and pouches you want on. That's 400 UK pounds, God knows what that is For the Americans, it's got to be pushing $600, hasn't it? But the low alpine, I've seen one for less than 200 UK pounds, which is affordable for me. All I have to do is sell some bits and pieces, and I'll have a go at the low alpine, and you'll see that I'll take it out and let you know if putting the same kit as the CS95, I'm putting it in the low alpine Saracen 120 litre, if I do get that comfort and weight distribution that I'm after. Do I enjoy carrying it, or have I spoilt my pack? Well, I'll let you know now. No, I have not spoilt my pack by removing the ribs and the rods and the sleeve. All that was, you know, nearly a kilo. I put it on my back with just fabrics in, part of your SEMO, which, if you don't know, SEMO, complete equipment marching order, which is your tent, your sleeping bag tent, what am I on about, bivvy, sleeping bag, roll pad, your basher, your warm gear and your wet gear. And I can still get all that in that pack, and it is beautifully warm and beautifully easy to carry. Once I got all my SEMO into that pack, it is fantastic to carry, fantastic. Now my SEMO all in, including the weight of the old unmodified pack, was just 12.5 kilos. Marching order weight is somewhere around 17.5 kilos, so you can see I'm chuffed with that. I do have an external frame vintage pack for my hammock and the basher, or the tarp in this case. So I do have a lightweight framed pack off the car boot market. It's 100 litres, external frame vintage pack, and that is what I usually put this tarp in, the underquilts and the hammock. It has 2 external pockets. I put 2 litres in one side and cook set and food in the other, and I thought that was comfy. I thought that was really comfy. It makes a weight feel 20 kilos to 10 kilos. It'll make 10 kilos feel like 5 kilos. An EXO frame's the way forward. That's why I want to put that on an EXO frame when it's needed. So it's a good hybrid pack, like I was just saying there. Put my coffee down. So it can still carry all the elements of whatever you've got in your pack right now, because it has the 2 utilities, it has the basher pouch, it has side mesh, and I haven't got a floating lid. What I have is a meshed jack lid. I have the ability either to carry a pad or a mat on the back like this, my air pad. That could be a foam pad, but you don't need a pad at all. It is pretty comfy without. I've only got that pad there in case I get a bitterly cold night in that hammock, and you know, I just fancy a bit of extra insulation, and where else better to put it is on here. It's no good, you know, in the pack when it could be doing the job on the outside. So I am really happy with everything, the way it's turned out. I'm not disappointed at all. Now remember, for you guys who think that is going to be some sacrifice cutting up your back frame, I already have another S95 Bergen, and that has another back frame in that is been altered upwards. In other words, it's had a back cushion fitted, and I've stripped nothing out. It's a JJ's Bergen again. In here I already have a sleeping bag as well as 2 quilts for the hammock. So I've got 2 quilts, hammock, sleeping bag, daisies, and a 3.5 metre tarp. It's not even a little tarp, so nothing here has been shrunk down to try and fool you that, you know, it's a doable thing. So I put big things in, 2 underquilts, a big Arctic sleeping bag, and a big tarp. Now there are little smaller tarps, I was going to say littler than, They're all little tarps. No, I can't. There are smaller tarps, obviously, and from other manufacturers, but it's just this that became affordable for me at the time. 4.5 kilos unmodified Bergen. Now, my Hyperlight kit with my duck down and goose down feathered underquilts, top quilts, and I think it's a sil poly tarp, is 4.5 kilos, including the weight of the pack and the contents in it. But that is going to be some of your differences between buying surplus to do the same job or throw some money at the issue, because on a YouTube channel obviously you'll want to see both aspects of it. I think I'll keep that in real time, the takedown. And as you can see, nothing is in stuff sacks for a stealth getaway. So I've still got that beaker and a cup of coffee to put in here, so I'm taking this back off while I sit down and finish my brew. Air cushion back to sit on. Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, time's up for you, but for me, I want to stay here and enjoy the sun. Might have another coffee, but I do have my eye on other bug out bags, probably the Predator 80-130. I've got no experience of that. It'll be a good video to do when it comes, if it comes, because I've got my eye on other packs as well. Now the low alpine should be in post pretty soon, and maybe that will make a bug out bag without adapting anything too much, because it does have molly and I can put a battery pouch on, and hopefully a brew pouch, which is the most important pouch on any backpacking pack or survival pack, preps pack, is your brew pouch. Brits can't do anything without a brew first. 3-minute warning, get the kettle on. It'll boil in 2 minutes. Until next time, take care. I'll see you out there. Happy trails.